when we come to a time of experiencing joy and laughter in our life, sometimes God seems to be on the other side. But I really think that when we're filled with laughter and joy, God is present. Hang in. We're going to be having a lot of joy with a wonderful man. His name is Tim Convey.
I thought he was dead. I swear. I'm so happy to hear that he's okay.
He's
making it. Yeah. Wow, boy, what a relief that is. Got to call my family.
Tim, it's a great honor to come here to your house and be with you today. It
really
should be, because
yes.
this is we're going to be better people for that. One of the joys of you is that you allow a lot of laughter. And sometimes I think we think of God as being very dour, kind of overly commanding and serious.
Boy, I hope not, because I have no chance then. If he doesn't have a sense of humor, I am out. Yeah, I will be entertaining downstairs.
Isn't it true, though, that when we get in touch with laughter and when we get in touch with that, I think we're really getting close to God, don't you?
I do believe so. I do believe. I think it's very difficult to be angry when you're laughing. I mean, and laughter is so much easier to do than being angry. Anger takes a lot of energy. I mean, you have to plan and say, okay, I'm going to say this, she's going to say that, but I'll come back with this. And in laughter, it's just you're just sitting there having a good time, and it makes you feel better.
And the big thing about laughter is that it usually is something that you don't expect. We're going down Run Road, and all of a sudden, you're going to say something to me. Then, whoa, where did that come from?
Yeah.
And I've just got to laugh, probably at myself and the situation, because it's so extraordinary. And God is kind of doing this all the time. We're kind of running into things that are happening. We're saying, where did this come from? And if we could be able to see it, perhaps not in terms of the tragedy, but maybe in terms of the laughter.
Yeah. Well, this country especially is famous for whenever there's a tragedy, it's only a matter of moments until it's a joke about the tragedy.
That's true.
There's humor comes out of it, because it's a relief for us to do that. I think even in my own home, I do a lot of laughing. I get hit a lot, but I still, we have a very happy family. And I think part of the relaxation of having a good family is to be able to laugh a lot.
Tell me a little bit about you and God. Where you were brought up?
Well, I met him on eharmony.com. I liked the review, and so
does he have a good page?
We've been going together. Seems to be working out. Yeah, good page. Well, I've always had a religious outlook. I came from a very small town in Chagrin Falls, Ohio. Very small, about 4,000 people. The kind of town where everybody cared about you. And everybody knew you too, of course.
Which can be very dangerous.
Yeah, but you go over to somebody's house and you break a window, and the guy would come out and smack you, and then he'd call your dad, and you'd go home and he'd smack you, and then you go to school and the coach would smack you. So you eventually learn. Yeah, don't do that. Yeah. Don't break any windows. But it was a community, and there were 3 churches in town. And I went to the Methodist church, Sunday school and church and everything. And it gives you such a comfort to know that there is somebody watching over you, with you, that is not really in reality. I liked the part where God was not necessarily visible, or it wasn't a visible person, so that you could pray whenever you wanted to. You could get in touch whenever you wanted to. You didn't have to wait till somebody came home or call or whatever, so you're always in communication. And I was always in communication with God. I know there's, this all didn't happen by itself, So it's been a great comfort to me, I think.
Tell me a little bit about the thing that drives you on to joy. You must have affected a lot of people with just in your own life, even as a youngster, I'd imagine.
I enjoy people. I enjoy what I can do with them and sometimes to them. For instance, a lady came up to me not long ago and she said, could I have your autograph? And I said, yes. And So she gave me a napkin, they usually do, and so I wrote my name on with this pen that's leaking all over, and I handed it to her, and she said, I can't read this. And I said, well, it's really not my fault. But I said, well, that's kind of the charm of an autograph, too, is the fact that that's how I actually write, so this is my autograph. She said, well, nobody's going to believe this.
Yes.
So I said, I'll tell you what, let me take this home, and I'll type it. So I took the napkin,
I love it.
I went home, I typed my name, and I mailed it to her. So now she's going around going, I got his autograph.
This is from his typewriter.
Are you kidding? So I am, I enjoy getting on an elevator instead of facing the doors to face the people. I just see what they do.
Do you?
Oh, yeah.
And you just look at them.
And they're all like, oh, boy, here we go. This guy's nuts. Let's get out of here. So it's, I just enjoy being with people and doing things with people.
And you've got the knack of being able to allow the present moment to be that kind of thing that's going to spawn something that you don't expect
and
at all.
And nothing harmful. I've never done, I don't go, buzzers and stuff, but I was in...
The poo-poo cushion or something like that.
No. I was in a store one time in the men's department, and I was just standing there waiting, and a lady came up to me and she said, excuse me, where is your underwear? So I showed her, and she said, she actually called the guy in and said, hey, this guy's exposing himself in here. I said, she asked me where my underwear was. I showed her. Guys go, I don't understand this. So it's stuff like that.
Waiting for the moment to happen. Tell me a little bit. There was a magazine called Guidepost.
Yes.
And you wrote a very touching story that as a young child, there was something about a cross,
yes.
A little plastic cross?
Well, as I say, I always had communication with God, always had prayers, always had, confidence that somebody was there and everything. Well, I go to this carnival, this cherry blossom festival they have every year in Chagrin, sometimes during cherry blossom, sometimes there's no blossoms at all, but the weather plays a big part there. But it was a carnival, guys would bring in rides, and you could get on it for a dime and then throw up and, just keep spinning around, and God, I never go on this. So I saved up 50 cents. So I went down to this carnival, and, you throw a ball, nothing happens and everything. So I look at this fish pond they have there. And you take a pole with a magnet on it, you put it in the water, and there's a bunch of fish down there with magnets on. You pull it up, and you get whatever. So I look up at all these gifts, and there's teddy bears and all that. But I see this little piece here, and it's got a little cross on it that glows in the dark, and it has a little green ribbon on it, and it's like a little metal thing. And I go, oh, my, I would really love to have that, So I throw the thing in, and I get a teddy bear. Boom, I get this. I get a whistle. I get a thing, and nothing. So my dimes are all gone. I got a bag of garbage. So I'm going home, and I go, geez, I really would have loved to have had that. That would have been so neat to see that glow in the dark and everything. So I'm walking along, and I see this shining thing, and I go, and I pick it up, and it's a dime. So I go, wow. Geez, I'm going to go back. And before I go back, I go, you know what? I may need some help on this. So I actually went to this tree, and I'm leaning against this tree, and I said, God, could you help me here? Could you see if I could win one of those crosses? So I go back, I give the guy the dime, put the thing in, bring it up. He goes, boom, gives me the cross.
Whoa, hello.
Well, yeah. I swear I thought I was going to die. I went, oh, my. And I'm not kidding, God. Geez. So I took this thing, and I couldn't believe it. I was so thankful. I went home, put it up to the light. It was glowing in the dark, and I had that thing for years and years and kept it under my pillow. And, wherever I went, that was with me. And it was really, there are little things like that along the way that are answered, some big, some just a little cross, but you get indications along the way.
That the Lord is around.
Yes, and just a little something to let you know that somebody's there.
Let me kind of delve a little bit into the man of humor and
was
laughter.
A good delve.
That was good. I'm a delver from way back.
Sounds like sled riding.
Sometimes there's some real heartache, though, huh?
Oh yes. Oh yeah.
I can imagine. when usually if there's a person of great success, there's also a person of great sorrow, and a lot of.
I wish I had some to tell you, but I don't. Anyway, no, it's funny, but in my case, I had great parents. they were sharing an IQ, which was a novel idea. So a lot of
brothers
fun
and sisters,
came out of them.
Brothers and sisters?
Yeah, right.
Brothers and
they
sisters?
were really, they were a lot of fun. I had great teachers, great school, great camaraderie, played sports, did everything, so everything was pretty good. Once in a while, little bumps would come along, but
overall good.
Overall, pretty darn good. I can't complain. I told you I got hurt in a football game once. This guy ran into my back with his helmet and broke a vertebrae, and I was paralyzed from the neck down for about an hour. So that was a little uncomfortable, but you get an indication there that things can happen to you like that without any excuse or anything. And coming out of the blue, these things can happen, and it's a tragedy in life that you would have to learn to live with. But fortunately, I came around, and everything was, fine. But for the most part, I had a very, very happy childhood. And I think as a way of thanking God for that, I went really into humor with people, because I think it's a pleasant way of relieving people of their pain, with humor. So I think
it's like a ministry then, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
It's like a ministry of going out to people.
I have an outfit just like
yours. I know you do.
Just for the neighborhood.
The collar.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful to hear, because I think sometimes we all forget sometimes, I think, that we each have a gift, that there's something very special, and to hear that a person has a chance of saying, let's bring a lot of laughter into people's lives, can be a very beautiful thing.
And now I have 2 granddaughters. I have 6 children. Possibly one in Guam, I'm not sure. So lonely during the war, But 6 children of my own, a stepdaughter, all 7 are great. And now I have 2 granddaughters that are the best. I mean, grandkids are just, because you see this imagination growing and looking and discovering and everything. And it's, I look back on my life, and that's what I did. I don't remember when I was 4 months old, but just to know that you're the growing, and to be able to be part of that process with them. And they are religious, they know that somebody else is with them at all times too, because and they have to be prepared for that, because grandparents aren't going to be around forever, and it's
one of the you just came back from down towards San Diego, and you were with your granddaughter. You kind of gave an intimation that she's really, really a talented young lady.
Exceptional. Yeah, she was in a little play down there, and she's about 34. But she knows stuff that I don't know. She's studying her spelling words. Half of them I didn't know even what they meant, let alone how to spell them. And it's amazing what kids know nowadays, especially because of the computer and all of the learning facilities that they have. And but she is so good, so kind. Both of them are. I mean, they're generous.
That neat,
and it comes from hopefully a spill off of what I gave to the kids.
This television ministry is dependent on you. I need your help. I need you to pray, but I also need you to make a financial sacrifice to allow us to continue. I know that there are all kind of hands reaching out to you saying, please give us support, but this is important. Along with the care that you give in your parish and your church, you also need to be getting to the people that don't go to church, the non-churched, and this is what the television ministry does. It gets into their lives and calls them to the good news of Christ. As a way of inviting you to share your support for us, I'd like to send you this gift along with your donation. It's called Healing Power by Sister Joni, a Benedictine nun. It was produced right here at the studios of WordNet. This CD is for people who are anticipating an operation or recovering from a sickness. It's a wonderful way of allowing the power of God's love to bring healing to your life. You represent something to me that is important, and it's that ability to be able to find humor and the laughter that I think is very much in line with what God is about. It's allowing us to enjoy things that happen. There are a lot of people, I think, in life, though, that are looking for how do you
the sour side? Yeah.
Well, they're there, and
yeah.
how do you get out of that? How do you do what you're doing? And I'm not asking that you can get on the stage, but how can we start to allow the excitement of a marriage that maybe has gotten so serious and so overwhelmed with economics and the problems with the kids? How can you allow, and if that's a fair question, what do you do to make it happen?
Yeah, so many rules now that you have to follow, in bringing up a child, G pays 47. Put the bottle, you don't, oh, you dropped it? Oh, my God, burn it. Yeah, can't use that again, man. Let's see, okay, and the natural things are the best things. My parents didn't know diddly about bringing up children or love or any of that. They just didn't. I mean, that wasn't part of their life. So it's kind of a natural thing. Some people get it, other people they just don't get it, and it's that constant conflict of the minute you settle on somebody comes on TV and says you can't do that anymore. We're going to take the God out there. I mean, this thing just came up with some police department. They don't want the word God on their badge.
Like in
so
God We Trust
like that would So the guys are turning in their badge, but they said, you know what? Since we're turning in our badges, we're also going to turn in our guns too. So here's the badge and the gun. You take care of people out here. So it's just we've lost common sense in so many different ways. And now that the political scene is in, now we're really arguing, and now we've really got all of these things. And we all know that whoever gets in there is not going to do much anyway. So who cares?
I know.
Yeah. And
well, then people, I just was hoping that
there was a way,
just giving a word of hope. That humor and laughter, even in the midst of these discouraging situations, and I don't mean disrespect, with that, but boy, that we could have a little bit more of that willingness to do that.
Yeah, one of the ways is, I belong to the Parent Television Council, and they're not looking to burn scripts, and we're not looking to shred DVDs. We're not out there, we've got to march and blow your horn if you know. What they're looking to do is to clear up the time period between 7 and 9 so that everybody can watch television. There's no danger of, something happening. And it's difficult, but people say, well, you're taking away our rights to watch that time. Well, this is what I want my children to know about something like this. So you go, okay, it's such a long, hard battle, and you can't convince everybody, so you end up with just a mishmash,
Well, I'm just hoping that as we talk here today, that people are going to kind of say, maybe I need to be able to see a little of the incongruities of life and bring a smile and maybe bring a laughter to some of the intensity of the life we're living in, as a couple and as a family. Maybe with the laughter we can see ourselves and see
pull
others.
Pull it together a little bit.
Maybe a little more.
I wish you could. I think one of the ways you can do it is not to patronize what the other side is. Maybe not going to these clubs where nothing happens but these kids get up and just swear for a half hour and everybody thinks that's amusing. And I'm not a prude, believe me. I shouldn't be through. I told Steve Allen one time when he wanted me to do the Parent Television Council, I said, Steve, if they ever look up my real record, I'm going to be in prison. So I don't want to ruin this thing for you. He said, no. He said, all of us have, something in the past that he ran for senator or consul or something here in California, and all the guy who was in competition with him had to do is just play one of Steve's things that went, "Hi, schmuck." And this guy's going to be the senator? I don't think so. So I said, all of us have a past. There's always something you can dig up on anybody in the world. There's, hey, she used the wrong fork. So we're not all clear. And I said, I can't throw stones. I shouldn't even qualify to pick up one, let alone throw it, But he said, no, we're all in the same position. We've patronized this stuff so long. Now let's just maybe try to clean it up, Richard Pryor, one of the funniest guys you'd ever want to meet.
Funny,
I mean, the characterizations. But that was his language. He was brought up in a house of prostitution. You don't hear please and thank you a lot there.
He had such a talent.
Marvelous.
Just crack up. But then you'd say, well, why do you have to say all those words?
But it was part of him.
That was his life.
That was.
Tell me this, Tim. Could I'm kind of trying to plug the idea that even reading the Bible can be an experience of great laughter, and that even Jesus, in some of his reactions to some of his apostles, must have been they must have cracked up when he did certain things like that.
Well, just in the situation with Moses, Moses, get a piece of paper. We're down here waiting, and he's out there, 6, Yeah, those boys, I'm sure they had a couple of laughs on the boats themselves,
Well, the idea, all of a sudden, they're in the boat, and the storm is going on, and all of a sudden they look up, and there's Jesus walking on the water.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that really is, that's exciting. That's exciting.
Say, boys, you see what I see out here? This guy is something.
And then Peter says, Lord, can I get out and do that too? Sure. And he said,
let me see your pontoon. He's in the drink. Hey, how do you do that? No, that's true. That's why just
to allow the craziness of and I shouldn't say the word crazy. I don't mean to that, but the incongruity and the difference, and he was probably people were able to laugh. I can't imagine.
Yes, it had to be.
I can't imagine as we read through the Bible that 15,000 men, women, and children left town, went out in the desert to listen to a guy talk.
Yeah.
If there wasn't an awful lot of humor coming on.
Oh, absolutely.
A lot of joy and a lot of just goodness.
And I'm sure that a lot of stuff didn't work. Jesus, you're healed. You're not? Okay. All right.
And it didn't work.
Yeah. Let me think a little bit here now. What do you have against
Or the question of the raising of Lazarus.
Yeah.
Talk about the unexpected. Here he is. The guy's been dead for 4 days like this, and Jesus says, come on out.
Yeah.
And the sister says, listen, really,
thanks for stopping by.
But the smell is going to be bad. I mean,
this could be touchy.
And it can be overly solemn, and we can see this.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it must have been just the...
And how does he explain to people, come here a minute, folks. Now, look, here's what's going to happen. I know this is going to come as a surprise to you, but the guy that's been laying on, he's going to come out.
Yes.
Yeah, sure he is.
And then he comes to his disciples, and he says, look, here, he says, now we're going to change the world, but what I want you to do is I want you to take your sandals off and then just get this one belt, and you don't bring your credit cards at all, and we're going to go out and change the world.
Right. Okay. Yeah. I've got to tell a few people about this before I go. Yeah.
And I think that this is what the Lord was about.
Well, I'll tell you what. When I was baptized, the first time, I was Greek Orthodox. My mother was Romanian, and I had been ill after birth, so I was already 6 months old before I was baptized. So they take me to this Roman Catholic Roman church, and they had my mother and dad were there, and they had this little thing you put the baby on, and you leave the baby there, and then they had this like a scarf, and they all hang on to it, and they walk around this table, and everybody's praying and praying and praying. And since I was 6 months old, I was a little active. I rolled off the table.
I love it.
But they didn't see it, so there was
so they got their eyes closed.
And they all stop and they turn around and they go. And the priest goes in, and he's going, and my dad goes, he's risen. And the priest said, no, I think he's fallen. So I had kind of a funny start. Yeah, they found me, put me back up there. Get that pail of water. Get out of here.
Oh, Tim,
so somewhere there was a sign.
God bless you. Keep on doing it, will you?
Oh, I'm going to try.
You got it, yeah, and I want to thank you for all the joy that you brought to the world.
Thank you.
And keep on doing it and keep on blessing with a real clean way. And
thank you.
Know of our prayers and our support for you and for the greatness of happiness.
Thank you very much.
God bless you.
God bless you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I think we've done it.
I hope so.
I hope so. I am convinced that television is a powerful means of bringing the good news of Jesus Christ into the lives of many, many people. We believe that with this weekly television program that we have, we are going into the homes of 200,000 families. Imagine that. Imagine all the people that are going to church and the majority that are not going to church. We are bringing the good news of Christ in a powerful way into people's lives. Now, this is a Catholic program, and I know whenever I say Catholic, you think, oh my gosh, there's all kind of money. I got to tell you that you are the source of allowing this program to continue. Now, if you ever have any questions about how your money is being used, I am willing to send you an audit review that explains exactly through the year how the money is used to preach the good news of Christ around the world. Now, what I need is 800 people who are willing to pledge every month to allow this ministry to continue. Right now, we have a presence here of part of that 800. We have 418 people who have made that pledge and are allowing us to continue, but are allowing us to continue with a limp. We need more. We need to bring that 418 to the mighty 800. Would you please pick up your phone, give us a call, and say when you call, I want to preach the good news of Jesus Christ through this television program, and I want to change lives. That's what you're going to do. I want you to be part of the mighty 800. 800 people in the battlefield of the Lord that are bringing God's blessings and peace to the world. Tim, every time we finish the program, we bring in the letters of the people that have been writing in, and they've been asking for prayers for sicknesses that they have or for problems in their families, or not only with them, but with friends and with children. And we pray and we ask the Lord to come in and bring out that miracle. You were praying about your little cross and the Lord, and I really believe that when you pray, it makes a difference, that there is a God that listens to that and brings that. And so let's just for a moment, let's just ask a prayer, if you would, join with me and all these people at home that, I don't know what you're going through right now, if it's maybe a marriage problem, if you're going through a sickness, maybe the doctor has just said something that's really tough, and you're reaching out, trying to find an answer of a hope and that. We're speaking today of laughter, but we're also speaking of a God who's full of joy and loves you very much and wants to bring that healing. We're going to pray. Let's pray together. Lord, take care of all these people, will you, Lord, with a mighty power. Put your arm around them. Bring healing, bring hope, bring new life. And Lord, as we talk with Tim, stir in our own hearts the joy that only you can give and the laughter. And may that draw us very close to you and close to one another. Now may Jesus' love for you always make you smile. Good deal. Well, I think we've done it.
Well, I think a pretty good rehearsal. What do you think?
Yeah.